Welcome to week 2 of Social Work 657 Leadership. I wanted to take this time to go through the handouts that I provide with each week. I wanted to cover week 1 and 2 fairly quickly, just to let you know what I am emphasizing and what you're reading in the chapters and the backup material that I provide, which hopefully further illustrates some of the points. So, in terms of week 1, obviously this was a week to take a look at the big picture issues in terms of leadership in the social work profession. I think your comments were right on target. I enjoyed the interaction between the group members. We obviously looked at in the first chapter and some of the backup material that I provided you with the idea of having vision, being able to work as a team, communicating, and having really good people skills. And of course, as most of you picked up, these are talents and abilities that are integral to the social work profession. So one of the themes you will hear from me throughout this course is that social workers are natural leaders, especially in the current environment and what's being demanded of leadership. In addition, leading by example. And the examples, of course, that we look at, which I was happy to hear some of you emphasize, were being advocates, being community oriented, as well as pursuing issues related to social justice. So I hope this put you in the context of the type of leadership trends and issues we're going to look at. And of course, the statement that I like from the chapter is leadership is a process whereby an individual influences a group of individuals to achieve a common goal. Sounds to me like a social worker, doesn't it? Critical issues, we will, the most prominent one, which I'm sure you have heard before, is that people are born leaders. Well, that's not true. You can learn leadership. And as you progress through your career, I'm sure you will experience that. And there's a difference between being assigned a leadership position and actually emerging as a leader, the power that comes with leadership, and the difference between leadership and management, which we will discuss along the way. The vision issue, Kouzes and Posner, as you will read in week 2, focus on this and the idea of envisioning the future and finding a common purpose, which are important ways to do that, and enlisting others, appealing to others, making the vision real and alive. And to that end, Cotter in Leading Change, and I don't think I've provided that chapter for you yet, but you will see that, talks about communicating the vision. I know in my own career, as the CEO of a large nonprofit organization with 500 employees and all kinds of services, and I urge you to go to fsaca.org if you'd like to see a little bit more of what my world looks like and where some of my thinking comes from. But anyway, as the leader, staff leader, I have to communicate the vision, and I often look back at this list of how to do that, because it does have to be something that actually has to happen. It just doesn't happen because you put it in a memo or an email or even your annual report. You have to work at it. And finally, the slide that I provided you regarding Peter Drucker, Max De Pree, and Frances Hesselbein. Drucker and De Pree were longtime management gurus. Frances Hesselbein was the head of the Girl Scouts for many years, but I'll point out 3 quick items on this slide. One is the mirror test that Drucker talks about. That is simply put, is tomorrow morning when you wake up and look in the mirror, ask yourself, would I want to work for that person? So the idea that what we hold up to be leadership, are we representing that in our natural styles? Dupree talks about hope, creating hope, and obviously as social workers we know a little something about trying to empower people and work with them to reach their natural levels of abilities and capabilities. And so this is something that is very natural for us as well. And Hesselbein gets into the types of things that people do or institutions do to prevent leadership. And some of you articulated this in some of the settings that you have experienced and where you've seen bad leadership. And finally, the statement from Warren Bennis about effective leadership being able to create change agents, another natural affinity with the social work profession. So, and then there's my little saying from Africa, which actually comes from Tom Friedman, The World is Flat. He's also written The World is Flat, Crowded and Hot, two books I would highly recommend to you. But the idea that whether you're the hunter or the hunted, you better run in this new modern world. And so at the end of this first week of readings and discussions, I hope that you have come away with the thought that yes, social workers have natural abilities for this new world where leadership, not management, is necessary, and the type of leadership skills that we focus on is being able to work with people and motivate people. And in this world where we have all this choice and all this capability because of the internet and whatnot, it has put the emphasis on every person, no matter what their position, being a leader. As we move to week 2, we get into some of the specific types of leadership, beginning with the trait approach. And I want to start off by emphasizing chapters 2 and 3. And as you look at this list of the, of the major traits affecting, impacting leadership, the chapter talks about intelligence, self-confidence, determination, integrity, sociability. Once again, a list that comes natural to those of us in this social work profession. This is an approach which is intuitively appealing. It's been around a long time, and leaders have been studied in depth, and these are the kinds of traits that have been identified that make up a leadership package that in fact leads to being a successful leader. Does it work in every situation? That might be one of the shortfalls of it, but nevertheless it's a pretty good list to begin to think about. The 3 skills approach is an interesting concept, and especially for those of you that are in middle management, which in my 40-year work span, having gone through all the positions in organizations, starting at the direct service and now to the administrative level of being a CEO, I can tell you the hardest job was being a middle manager. And that is because the middle manager works between 2 worlds, the direct service and administration. And so when you look at this chart and you see that the middle manager has to have all of these skills, technical, the knowledge of what they're doing, the human, the people skills, and the conceptual, the ability to see the forest, not just the trees, that is the most demanding position. But I thought this was a pretty neat way of conceptualizing leadership challenges from a skills perspective. The other readings that I provided for you, Bennis and Goldsmith. Bennis accentuates the concepts of what we often think of in terms of leadership being a rare skill, charismatic. Failure is to be avoided. Those are mostly management kind of parameters, as compared to what we know is that everyone's capable of leadership. It's a human process, and it has more to do with coaching and supporting and empowering and taking risks that are valued, at least in this day and age. And of course, the inherent values that make up leadership, the character issues, the having integrity and ethics, being purposeful and meaningful, being highly personal, being able to work with people, once again, establishing trust, optimistic, and taking action. Bennis and Goldsmith further go into the concept I like here is the alignment of others through meaning. That this is what leaders are really good at. They get people not only to buy in, but buy in a way that it aligns for them. So the way I like to put it is that a leader is able to establish that there is where we need to go. There is a good place to be, and I'm the person who can help you get there, in very simple terms. And the distinctions between manager and leader are pretty clear, summed up by the statement: a good manager does things right, a good leader does the right things. Another way of saying it: a good manager gets the train to run on time, a good leader gets the train to its destination. Same thing with Kotter, highlighting the differences between management and leadership. And then ending with Kouzes and Posner. This is a text I would highly recommend if you're going to buy a text. But their 5 practices and 10 commitments of leadership model the way. You have to practice what you preach, walk the walk, talk the talk, whatever way you want to put it. But the good leader makes known what the values are and is able to align their actions with those values, inspiring that shared vision, not only envisioning the future, but getting others to buy into it and appealing to them, challenging the processes, looking at the ways to do things differently. We're going to talk about that, thinking outside the box, when we talk about entrepreneurship, which I believe is the natural progression that we're at in terms of the type of leadership that's being required as we live in this virtual world where everyone is called to be a leader, and especially you're going to be in the top 10% of the population with your masters. You're going to be looked at as being a professional and being someone who should be capable of leadership in your own right, enabling others to act, fostering the collaboration, empowerment, which is very close to what we do as social workers, and finally encouraging the heart, being able to get people to follow their passions and to do it with compassion, and never forgetting that credibility is at the base of all of this. So I hope I know this is just a quick, very quick recap of what's on the slides, but I hope that you're reading the backup material and you're able to make sense of this, and in your discussions where I will try to comment, hopefully it will bring to light how natural it is to be a leader in the social work profession, and how you can begin to hone the skill set that is going to make you the type of unique leader in the future.